Welcome again to the Motley Croc Show. It is 8 o'clock on the 19th of December, and it's so funny to me because it seems like every time I sit down and do this, it's like a week has gone by like that. Crazy as it'll be. Anyways, as always, backstage, we have the Manic Satanic Jeff. What's up, my friend? And we have, I didn't recognize you with those bifocals on, Brittany. Very nice, very nice.
I have to. My vision's getting so bad.
What happens when we get over it?
Sucks.
Yeah. Well, like I can do reading glasses too, but
I have to when I'm looking at a screen. Otherwise, my left eye gets so blurry. I start to get a really bad headache now. So, I have them for distance and I have them up close. It just sucks.
For distance too?
Yes. Especially for nighttime. I had to get them for both. I've got a stigma. Yeah, it's bad. It's just age. It's life.
Well, I know it's it is what it is. We'll get there. We don't have to impress anybody. We just got to live,
That's right. I'm here to be me, and being me with glasses.
Live and let live.
The new me.
How's everybody been doing?
Good.
Cool.
Busy week. Worked a lot. Got some stuff done. Fed some snakes. Trying to get some stuff in place for the animals for when I travel. Typical stuff.
Hey, man, I know you. I know exactly what you mean. Are you leaving for Christmas?
No, I'll be here for Christmas. I'll be working, but I'll be here. I'll probably be here till the end of January if I get a contract.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were going to travel for Christmas and see some family.
No, just for work. Once I secure a good contract, I'm kind of looking all over, but I grabbed some licenses in a few other states. So some stuff Southwest and then up in New England.
Nice. Cold country.
Yes, indeed. It is very cold. That's why I got the Southwest, because I figured maybe I'd do a contract there until the weather broke, and then I'd go up toward Vermont or wherever.
Oh, there you go.
On.
Get my green
tuna.
On. What was that?
So we'll have to. I said right on. So me and Bumblebee will have to try to go up there in the cold weather and visit.
Absolutely. Do some skiing.
I would.
Yep. Oh, skiing.
Sledding, snowboarding, all kinds of winter sports. Snowball fights.
Done that since I was a kid. Oh yeah, snowball fights.
Can't beat
a elf style.
Oh, I'm down with that. If you got that kind of speed, it's all right.
That is
on my team.
That's pretty. Can we dress like them too?
Yeah, because that was snowball fight. Have one of us go really far, go real long, and just get hit in the back. We took him out.
Dude.
Santa, I love him.
I know that was one of the greatest things. That was It was a really funny movie. I heard that you went and saw The Grinch today, Brittany, with the kids.
I did.
Met the Grinch. What's up, Merlin? Craig, how you been, bro?
Hey guys.
Yeah.
What's up, Merlin?
Yeah, Nikki had, because she's working the Grinchmas show at Universal Studios. She was like, I want to, get the kids in to meet the Grinch. Otherwise, to meet the Grinch in park, it's like a 3-hour wait. It's been insane this year. And so she was like, but you got to let me know. And I was like, well, we have passes, but our passes have blackouts during the peak of Christmas, which nobody.
Oh, you know what? Oh my God. I got something on that.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, so tomorrow it ends. So we were trying to figure out a day and rushing to figure out a day. And so I texted Nikki and she was like, I'm there today. Thursday would be better. Great. The whole thing's open. So took the kids. The Grinch was awesome. Loved Finn's hair. So Finn was just having the time of his life.
Nice.
And Bimini was she loves him, loves the Grinch. So seeing him on stage and then getting a chance to meet him, she just was the whole world was upside down for her. So she got to meet him. They got to meet the whole cast, sit on the stage, take a picture, hang out with the Grinch. Yeah. So.
Oh my God. Speaking of Grinches, I always get surprises. Are you ready for this Grinch?
Oh boy.
Well, before I bring the Grinch on, I went to the park with Flavio the other day. And he said, you have a premier pass, you get free valet. So we drove up and got valet parking. We were let out right by the fucking movie theater and walked right in. It was great. Awesome. I had no idea after all this time. I'm serious. So we walked around like a bunch of old men enjoying ourselves at the park doing business meetings. But it was fun talking business on King Kong. But anyways, yeah. Yep.
Really, the Grinch?
The Grinch. The crocodile Grinch. What's up, Marissa? How you doing?
Hi. I was just gonna watch, and then I was like, oh, he wants me to come and talk.
Yeah, you come chat with us. I want to know how Belize has been. There's been a lot going on because the reason I like that is you're in another country, and we have so much weird shit going on over here. Like, I'm really interested in alien hand syndrome, where people's hands try to kill themselves, like literally start beating you for no reason. You get these. This is a real thing. Like I had no idea. It's like a real thing, and we looked into it
with Seth Green when he got somebody else's hands.
Yeah.
Well, like murderer's hands.
Right. Well, I thought it was a joke, but there was this elderly woman. I have an article. I sent it to Brittany.
Yeah.
Where she had what's known as, it's rare, but it's called alien hand syndrome. And she was grabbing things and trying to kill herself. So they had to tie her hands down, and they're trying to figure out the process from the brain and why certain parts of the brain is telling the hand to do something. I thought it was really awesome. Jeff, I'll send you the article too. It's just really wild.
To find that movie right
At
now.
first, when he sent me the article and it says like alien hand syndrome, I was like, I don't even know if I want to open this drawer. What
yeah, especially with Troy.
Right. And he's like,
That's
no, it's
bullshit.
legit. He's
Bullshit.
like, no, it's legit. Be like, check this out. And then I read it and I was like, wow, like this is crazy. Like it's something neuro, that's
Right.
affecting the muscles and the system in the hands to do these actions subconsciously. Like, why?
I sent it to you too, Marissa, to your WhatsApp too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm
weird.
sending
Idle Hands. That was the name of the movie.
Yep.
There's
And I
always
just sent it
something.
again, Jeff. It's called Alien Hand System Sees Woman Attacked by Her Own Hands. The BBC.
Got it.
Now I like the BBC News. They're actually pretty good. The BBC usually puts some really good stuff out in
They're
with
pretty
anything.
open.
I've been starting this trend because I have some really cool followers in other countries. And they come up with this really fucked up footage of stuff and they send it to me. Some of it I can't post, but some of it I do. Like swimming with crocodiles. That's my new thing. So every time someone sends me swimming with crocodiles, and did you see the last one I posted?
Yeah.
Well, all you see is the man's leg sticking out. Fantastic. Like he knocked that off his bucket list and he doesn't have the guts to do it again. And I absolutely love it because people do it. I don't understand how you've lived on this planet with animals for thousands of years and don't understand that you don't get in coffee, cream looking water when there's giant, especially Temistomas. I really believe that was a Temistoma. If you look at it again, Marissa, if you look at the video and look at the croc,
Yeah, I'd have to look at it again.
it's either an Orinoco. No, maybe it's an Orinoco. It's either Orinoco or Temistoma. It's definitely not a saltwater, but so you just know Temistomas are gigantic crocodiles to begin with. People don't realize that. Gigantic. Like, I mean, there's some big Temistoma out there. Like salties are tough and rival, but there's some big Temistomas. But so it's swimming with crocs. I know Marissa does it, but she's a professional, folks. She's not in there washing her dirty underwear, living in a grass shack on some half-bitten coconut-built dock, letting her kids swim in the water and then get upset when one of them takes them as a snack.
This is true.
Then they're down there lighting sage and floating flowers. Like, you just fed it to them. That's like me going and sitting in with my crocodiles and expecting them not to try to eat me.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, if you're on
My
some kind of
Crocs are
float.
trained. I mean, my Crocs are trained, but someone was like, oh, well, why don't you go in with the 10 and a half more or less? And I was like,
Yeah, let's get in the water.
Like, he's trained, but his instinct is still going to kick in if I'm like jumping in the water and splashing around. Like, like I have my limits and my boundaries, and that's why I'm going to survive until 113.
And he was
That's the exact year.
eating mini bananas and
I'm
coconuts.
living till 113. When I turn 100, I'm going to be at a rave, like, and just dancing as much as I can.
love
You're going to do that Kawaba shit and flip
I love
around?
Do as many drugs as you want after 100. It's totally whatever you want.
That'd be really cool.
I was like, I'm going to be a gilf, not a milf. I'm going to be a gilf, like even at my 90s.
Brittany, you don't know what that is, do you?
Which one? A MILF or a GILF?
You know what a GILF is?
Yeah, a grandmother.
Okay, I didn't know because, you look like a school marm today, and I figured you were going to take the whole thing in. What's up, Bill?
Hey,
I am
Bill
a
Sweeney from Hollywood.
right now. This is offensive.
And I'm going to mention it a couple times in the show. One of our friends is the drummer for Poison. His name's Ricky Rocket.
Oh.
Him and I were talking today, and
I gotta feed my dogs. I'll be right back.
the Thursday after Christmas, he's going to come on the show with us here, and we're going to talk about legends and monsters. And I'm really excited. Okay, Marissa. So he's going to put some stuff together and come out and talk with us. And he has a show on YouTube called Legend Tripping, and he's really into it.
Yep.
Like, he's one of those rock stars that are just really into like legends and urban myths and monsters and murders and unsolved murders. And he's got a whole plethora of that. And him and I were chatting today, and he's like, I'll check with my wife, and as long as I haven't committed to anything after Christmas, I'll be there. So that's something to look forward to. That'll be the Thursday after Christmas, and that week, and it'll be a lot of fun. And we get to talk to him and kind of hear about probably a lot of cool things.
Ricky's
I would
a cool
imagine.
dude.
He's lived a really good life. I mean, he's had a lot of fun. Him and Brett starting their band together and all the stuff they grew up as kids, and he has kids, and he's a motorcycle enthusiast. So he has some bikes he goes out on, and he's got that new Harley, that Enduro Harley they came out with. He said he absolutely loves it. So I'm just curious to talk.
Badass, man.
Yeah, and I want to talk to him about that and just kind of hear about all that stuff, And I like it because one of the reasons I think it's cool is because when you talk to a lot of people, like people look at us and whatever, and these fucking fakes, and they're a bunch of phonies and blah, 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 paid actors, whatever. I see all the people, everybody has an opinion, and it's funny to me. But
those people don't exist in my world.
I know, but here's a person that's made a really good living for himself. He's a great drummer. He's in a cool band, and he still goes out and does monster hunting and legend tripping. And I really find that to be interesting because it's not like, I know, and people get mad at me for saying this, but like when Brittany and I are out and we're doing an interview, or we're even doing it for the Discovery Channel, and you talk to someone, they're like, yeah, I saw it down there. And so I went in, I got the biggest gun I could find, and I shot it. And then it farted, and it ran over there, and then it broke into my shed, took my power saw, and went back in the water with it. Like that kind of shit to me just, so there's some credibility with people who make money or are successful and are just really into that kind of thing.
Yep.
And a lot of the people that put this down, if you're listening, I hope you are, but a lot of people that put this kind of stuff down, the adventures or going out and doing something with yourself or getting, that's not real, sit on a couch all day, type on a computer, play video games, whack off the Pokemon, shit like that. So you really can't talk. Get on the airplane and come out with us in the woods.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Get in that water.
I want to see them in the woods for a night and see how long.
Or in a canoe with Marissa. Sexually assault her with a fish. And then come talk to me.
That's right.
God damn it.
One of the best field experiences I've ever had with Troy.
Yeah, listen.
He's
I have a lot of fun, but I am not a scumbag. And I had met her. Well, no, I hadn't met her before. And she was great. And then we go to Belize together. And she's like, oh, you can ride in my kayak. I'm like, all right, I'll just paddle. Because she's out there with lights like fucking Tarzan. Look over there. There's an eyeball. It's a spider. Hey, it's a mole cricket. Whatever. And this fish decides to jump between us. And these are the people who don't know the story. Fish jumps between us again and just, slaps her around a little bit back there. And she's like, excuse me? I'm like, there's a fish in the boat with us here. I don't know what to tell you. And she throws it off. I'm like, that wasn't me. Like, can you imagine? We're an hour into the trip and I just decided to go like this. Yeah, let me just tap it. Get the fuck out of here with that. Come on. It was true. But with that being said, get out there in that field. Like, some of these people do crazy shit, more crazy than I would do.
Full bonding experience.
It was a full bonding. And then that was also when I got out of the kayak and I was sinking in mud trying to catch that 3-footer. And you're like, get back in the kayak. Get back in the kayak. And I was like,
yep.
I'm fine.
No, I know you were fine. I didn't want to get dirty. You were just going to pull it over. I really try not to get dirty or get leeches all in my areas.
He doesn't.
He doesn't like to get dirty. No, and Maya, I'm trying to remember what episode it was from the Lost Monster Files, but she started making, it was the last one because you were going in the caves, and she's like, but Troy's going to get dirty. Why is he in there, Mom? She was just, she's like shitting on you now, Troy.
Well, she wouldn't know that if you hadn't told her.
I love her.
He's just shitting on you. I'm just gonna film her. I'm just gonna film her watching these episodes again because she's just like at Troy. She's like Brittany's like her goddess, and she's
that's because you're raising little man haters. That's it, little man haters. Brittany's a goddess. Fuck those guys.
No, because she sees Mom getting dirty, and I've told her the stories. I was like, Troy doesn't like getting dirty. I'm full of mud, and you're like,
I don't know that it's not. I don't like getting dirty. I think what it is for me is on a reel is that it over stimulates me, and it gets me to where all my nerves going in, and I'm like, and I've always been that way, just getting stuff on my hands. Now I'm a little more used to it. I can do it now, but it was something I had to gradually work into because I didn't like it. I would do it when I absolutely had to. So the whole trick to my life was working with animals and trying not to get as messed up as little. It's like having a stinky snake, not musk on you.
But I will
go
say
out of my way
though,
to have a stinky steak not musk on me all the time.
I know.
I'd rather grab the business end and let the other one, do its thing.
Yeah.
yeah. But
I'd
I
rather
will
be
say,
bit.
I will say, Troy, when you were in the cave though, out of all of us, and we went into some tight spaces. I still don't understand how it's funny to watch you maneuver because like you know how to maneuver to not get dirty, like not to get certain spots of you dirty. Like you have figured out and mastered like Spider-Man fingers on the floor to like nothing's touching. Like you have figured out how to do it. Cause there were multiple times in the cave. I turn around, I'm like, God dang it. And I look at you, I'm like, I know you just
Hey.
came up from behind me. How in the fudge does your hat have nothing?
Because you can
on
crawl
it?
on your fingers and the tip of
That's
your
what I'm
toes.
saying.
I've got
That's
big
what
hands.
you do. You're like, I swear to God, somewhere,
Let me
somehow,
make
we
the
have
noise.
to get that footage from freaking Doug because there is footage of Troy from the side going through a tight tunnel, and you can watch. I'm not kidding. It is Spider Troy. Like he's like, all of his strength is in the tips of it. He is off the ground, but like, go, and then he comes out clean. And Justin and I look like we were sent through a hurricane, a tornado, and a tsunami and spit back out of the cave. Troy's like, what's up, guys? You guys are screwing around looking like idiots.
No,
Oh,
Justin
I do.
doesn't care. He likes to get dirty. He's like Matt. Remember Matt, Marissa?
Yeah.
He's great. I love Matt. Matt's amazing. I hope he sees the show. I communicate with him probably 4 or 5 times a week. I love Matt. He'll get dirty, but Matt works on big machinery and excavation machinery and shit. So he looks like he's been powdered with dirt every time he gets home. So he's used to it, But for me, it's okay. I just have a thing with it. I don't know what it is, but I push through it. I just figure out ways around it. But sometimes you have to do what you got. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do,
Yep.
If there was
nobody has anything like that,
you would do it. You would do it. If there was a dangerous situation, you'd get completely dirty to save somebody that you care
of course.
about.
But doesn't anybody have certain things that they just can't?
Yes.
Yeah, getting dirty is not necessarily one of them. Getting musked on is a horror for me. I hate, especially by like some, anything from the water or garters. Their musk smells horrifying
for days.
Wash off.
It's like a skunk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've never been skunked. Thank God. My dogs.
Oh, it's the worst.
And foxes too. They must look crazy.
I've had a tomato bath in my day.
Good old tomato juice bath.
Because we had skunks. Troy knows our skunks.
I use lemons to get the musk off my hand sometimes.
One of them was supposed to not have that, and it had it.
Oops.
Yeah, they didn't get it all.
The worst for me was having, after dissecting a manatee. Well, I had to jump in the water. I was already kind of falling apart.
God.
And just the oil, and it got on me. And then it was my first or second dissection with the manatee. So I'm still trying to, just that smell, it got in my hair, but it was just the smell got in my hair, and I smelled like dead manatee for a few days.
Oh.
That happens at the hospital a lot. Well, not with manatees so much, but with people. They don't even necessarily have to be dead. I just walk in a room and smell a smell, and it's with me the whole night. I don't know if it's
up
my
there.
memory, or my memory just rehashing the smell. The first thing I have to do is like change my mask, get rid of everything, wash everything, and it's still there. There's some nasty, nasty smells that people make. Let me tell you.
I don't know how you do that.
Man,
I just can't. I'd be like, I'm sorry, you have to die today. I'm only here for the paycheck. I'm not cleaning that.
Right.
Sorry.
Even wearing a respirator, sometimes it's not enough.
And that's sometimes I can handle smells. I can. But when you get like dirty, that it just, I don't know what it is, man. Like it just gets on you and you're like, oh, especially when I'm trying to do stuff. Now I'm a little more lenient on it though. Like now I'll just do it. I don't care. And dealing with Justin and the bullshit he puts me with, we're always doing something ridiculous. And he's finally getting to that point in his age now where he doesn't want to do it as much anymore. Like, I don't feel like jumping on that. Let the young guys do it. I'm like, yeah, see? You remember, motherfucker? I told you this. I remember I told you me and Flavio would stand back. I'm like, go ahead, guys. Have a good time, man. Rip up them buttholes because I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
Oh! Like, I remember when we were young and Flavio would be like, listen, if you don't have blood in your underwear, you didn't do it right.
Oh, my God.
Talking about
I'm telling you.
Alligators here, or
some of those alligators, dude.
Fabio gave you a Twinkie and a Yoo-hoo. What are we talking?
That's right. So working with that, some osteoderms are bigger. We've talked about that before. Some alligator, like farm gators, have real smooth backs. Like you look at Morlet's crocodiles, they got this really nice smooth back. That'd be fine. But some of these alligators, dude, I mean, they've got these diamond triangle things in the wild. You're like, God, and they know how to use them. And they'll buck around, spin their head up, and you're just getting all ripped up. No thanks. I don't care. I don't care if people call me a pussy. I don't want to do it anymore. Unless I have to.
Enema. I'll pass on that one for sure.
But
if
everybody
you
has
know
this
you're
thing.
gonna do that, can't you
Michelle.
like have like extra pads on that night, like jock?
I don't know if they make.
Don't they make anything like that?
I guess they would if you. Yes, they do. If you go to an equestrian place,
Yeah.
where people do a lot of horse riding, like especially if you're riding hunt, they make certain the saddles are either flip. But I've seen the pants with the inserts, like the cyclists get.
Oh
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have an extra pad, but they do
Yeah.
have them for the inside for like horsemanship and stuff. If you're doing a lot of training, so I guess that's possible. But then
So
you'd be out there
could you
looking
wear
like
something
Adolf
like
Hitler.
Thinking like, could you like maybe that's okay? It is what 8:21. We're starting a business design right now for all those Croc
Knock it out,
enthusiasts
man.
out
I'm
there.
assuming, Judy, you're talking to me. And yes, sometimes smells get to me. I can smell people in the line.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I have
Troy
way
smells.
too good a
That's
sense.
I
No,
can smell when they're
The older I
not
get,
so fresh.
Yeah.
yeah, the
and
older
they
you
walk
get,
by,
the
you're
worse
like-
it gets. Your sense of smell seems to get better while your sight gets worse.
You're like, hey, you need to do something about that, or wear a hazmat suit. Don't come in here like that. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. He
Right,
doesn't
Marissa?
know what smells.
No, it's true.
So
Yeah.
so there's a lot of that stuff out there that we do, but there's a lot of it going on, and I think that swimming with crocodiles is a thing that people really enjoy doing, and
Circle
crocodiles are
back.
fun. And while we're still kind of early, oh my God, let me tell you
Man.
something. Now let's talk about Daniel for a minute. Hold on, Marissa. Daniel overate, I guess,
Oh
his mom's
my
spaghetti.
God.
Like, to the point of completely, like, I think he ate so much he was passing spaghetti when he shit. And he was farting in the car and it smelled like old spaghetti. I'm like, have you been eating like Italian food or spaghetti? Because you smell like old spaghetti. He's like, oh, I've just been farting a lot. I ate spaghetti. How'd you know? So that's a true story. Because I picked that shit up, man. I'm weird about it.
You got to chew better, Dan.
He-
I said,
yeah,
you better
Troy-
get one of them puff pads or whatever and wear it in your pants and whatever those mufflers are, whatever you buy.
Troy's
What?
ability to know what the scent is from is that's a real.
I can't help it. The
He's
lunch meat.
mastered.
I used to hate it when people would eat. You can tell when lunch meat starts to go.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I remember my grandfather would yell at me all the time. He's like, you have to sniff everything before you eat it.
I sniff everything before I eat it.
Everything.
No, yeah.
You sniff everything before you eat it. I don't care what it is. If it's
Once you
alive,
eat, like bad milk or eating
Listen,
a bad piece of fruit or something, you smell everything.
milk farts stink really bad.
if you're
Like-
lactose intolerant, some people don't get milk farts.
My kids aren't lactose intolerant, and their farts.
Yes, they are.
I'm pretty sure all
Ooh.
humans
If they're
are
farting, they're lactose intolerant.
intolerant.
They fart all the time. Like he like
That's because they eat garbage.
no, Finn does not.
Yeah. Finn eats donuts and cheeseburgers.
No, he
He's
doesn't
gonna
eat
fart all the
donuts.
same
Donuts are a
time?
treat, and he doesn't like them all the time. He hates sugar.
And Bimini will eat anything that says edible.
Yeah, that's for sure. She'll eat everything. She'll be like, "What do you have? Can I try?"
You're like, it's just drywall, sweetheart.
Mm.
We took it off the wall. Oh, it's delicious.
Mhm.
Bimini's a fucking beast. I'm telling you, she's gonna be 6'5".
She's my brute. She's my little tank. She came in this morning like she walked in like a football player. I looked at John like, look at the shadow on her. She's like, coming in this morning, move over, coming into bed.
And yeah, when she
Jeez,
runs up to
Bims.
hug you, she like tackles you, dude.
Oh yeah,
Boom! You got to turn to the side a little bit so you get nut back.
she's solid. Like not like it's literally her mass of her bones. Like her density is just like,
I think that's because she's gonna shoot up, Marissa.
Neanderthal in her.
huh?
I was like gonna say you have some Neanderthal, the bone mass. Sorry,
I
that's
can believe it. I could believe it. She's
It has to
owning
be
that
from
shit.
John because he's a Sasquatch.
Yeah, he legitimately is.
He's a fucking
Right?
squatch. Marissa. We got off the airplane one day, and John thought he'd be a romantic, which it's weird for him because if you ever get around him, he doesn't speak. You don't see anything. So he shows up in this city and meets Brittany, me, and Justin. He just flies there and meets her.
Well, he
We
was
just land-
flying. elsewhere, but he remapped his flight.
Yeah, to meet Brittany for an hour in the airport. So he flies to the
We
airport,
could eat in the airport together. Yeah.
and we get out. And I see this guy. I'm like, oh my god, is that John? Holy shit! And it was John. I'm like, that guy looks like John, but it was John. And then Justin's like trying to stand up like this. He's like, how the fuck are you taller than me, man? He's like, I have to look up, man. It pisses me off. And then, it's funny.
Wait,
But,
how tall is
so
he?
I like 6'5", something like that.
6'5". Mm-hmm.
Boy.
And you're tiny.
He's like a Viking.
Yep.
I'm 5'4". I'm little.
Well, Vikings were only about 5'8" to 5'9" in reality.
Okay, but in like cinema Viking, John's a
Cinema Viking, because real Vikings were about 5'8",
They were
5'9".
small.
They were just brutal and compact
Like this,
motherfuckers.
5.
Yeah.
You're talking Scandinavians. Scandinavians are.
There you
tall
go.
people.
That's
Here we
more.
go.
Yeah, that's more accurate. Yeah.
Is Justin is 6'4". I don't know why Brittany's so small. I'm 6'1". Brittany is 5'3.5" and a quarter, or whatever she says.
5'4.25". Just because every job I ever had that was entertainment based always had to measure us, and I never changed. I was like, why can I never grow? It's always 5'4.25". She's 5'4.25". Like that's what they always.
You're probably not anymore. You're old now, so you're 5 foot and under a quarter.
Finn
There's
measured
so
me. I
much
haven't
to shrink
changed.
yet.
You haven't changed. I was gonna say because when I was pregnant, I lost I lost a quarter inch, so I'm no longer 5'4".
Did it really, do you think it compressed your spine a little bit? Yeah. Carrying all that weight.
Wow.
Maya, damn it.
Damn it!
Bimini could
She
be a
was
Viking,
worth
Judy,
it.
for
All right,
sure.
I'm fun size.
That's right. We're pocket pals.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to be small.
Listen, you need to start practicing that shit she does where she flips around on them decks and shit.
She's
You can make
crazy.
an Instagram page with that stuff, with that Cabo shit, like just dress people up and kick their ass, like fake ones. Like today, we're going to fuck up so-and-so and like put a mask on, just go out there and do that shit. Where you tuck your arms in and you're doing those spin kicks with your feet. You used to post those videos all the time. You haven't done it in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Or your yoga and the dog would come up and fuck with you and try to lick your face when you're like
she's
trying to
always
balance on your
doing that,
hands.
but I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, like I'll be in a pose, like arm pose, and Kessel's coming and licking my face, going in between my legs. Yeah.
Yep, they do that. Dogs get it up. Earlier, I found out that Daniel hates one of my dogs, but I didn't know why. He was just telling everybody he hated her, but she's my best dog, actually.
Who's it?
Her name is
Bubbles?
Truth, and she's a Doberman. But he said, "Well, I'm like, why do you hate the dog? Why are you telling people you hate the dog?" He goes, "Well, because when I'm outside, she like sticks her nose in my butt crack and lifts up."
It's a sign of affection, Dan.
It is.
Like
Normally, she'll sneak up behind me and lick my hand, and I'm like, "Stop licking my hand." Doesn't make me hate her though, but she'll sneak up behind you and take her nose, pop, and lick your hand, and run off. She does it all the time. Dogs are just really cool. I wish crocodiles
Truthy.
acted like dogs.
She's great.
It'd be
If you
fun.
imagine if a crocodile was sticking its nose in Daniel's ass crack.
You did?
Mm-hmm. Her name was Sam. Sam, she was on a Steve Irwin show in 2003.
Okay, I'll have to look it up.
When he came to Belize in 2003, he featured her to talk about crocodiles, and she was like just going after him. And I mean, it was awesome. And the previous owners always said that she just never let anyone near her. And then she came down to us, and I don't know, man. I don't know how to tell you, but it's just like there was a connection. I was able to start petting her. She would come. It was like a dog. Training her was way more quick than me training my dogs. But we had a connection. Like I said, I would just pet her. It was crazy. I always saw those videos where people are like, "Oh, my pet Croc," and I was like, "Nah, man, there's something wrong." But after having that experience with her, I'm like, "Oh yeah, you can absolutely connect with animals."
I agree. I think
awesome.
crocodiles, their whole life is based on chemicals, just like us. And I think that
Sounds like us.
When crocodiles and alligators are in the courting part of their life, or they're taking care of their young, their chemicals mix different in their brain. It's just a different thing that happens, right? And I think that sometimes they just get a little more of those chemicals than others, and it makes them a little bit more endearing to what they're around. And that's a very logical explanation, because it's taking that, what is it, the instinctual behavior and kind of numbing it a little bit and bringing it more of a closeness. And you find every now and then you'll find crocodiles like that. I have a Siamese named TikTok, and she's really smart. Now she comes out the gate like she's going to be a beast, but she's not. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's very vocal, but she's really, really smart. Like even Flavio loves that. He said she's going to be smarter than most of the people she lives with. So I agree with you. I think you can. That's true though, Marissa. I'm not kidding about that. She's very smart. She's really cool. The smartest crocodiles that I've ever worked with in my life, and I've worked with almost all of the species legitimately. And I think that the American croc is one of the smartest. Everybody argues with me about Cuban crocs. I disagree 100%. Cuban crocs are not stupid. They just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And they're opportunistic. And people don't realize that in the lake that they live in, they were extremely at one time overpopulated. And there wasn't a lot of waters for them. So they were condensed into a small area. So they were opportunistic. So anytime something moved, it was like, go after it, get it, for a long time. So there's a lot of studies on that.
They also were taking down giant sloths.
And packs. And packs.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And so with that being said, yes, she will talk to you. Siamensis are an extremely vocal crocodile. They really are, especially when they're young. But the American crocodiles are very interesting. Like we can take Dominic, for example. He's really intelligent, and Flavio and I would do a show with him, and Flavio would pretend he was coming in from the crowd every time we'd have a new show. And he would be like, oh, I'm learning, and he would fall. So we'd make the crocodile come over to us, and we'd hold him, and then Flavio would fall on him and roll in the water like, oh, my God. And he just knew he wasn't supposed to move. So anytime somebody would hit the water or fall, he'd go to turn. He's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. And then he wouldn't act. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had crocodiles grab onto me before. And then you're like, I'm not supposed to do that. And not even crush down and just let go and back away. So I know. You know what I mean? Because usually it's because I fucked up the routine or I slipped a little and the animal kind of went to do what it was supposed to do, but I wasn't out of the way and it did its splash jump. It grabbed me. It's like, oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm serious.
Yeah.
That's happened. And so I agree. I think you can. I think Marissa's 100% correct. I think you can develop a relationship with them. And then there's those people like Dominic doesn't like fat people. So if you take somebody that's fat into his enclosure, which Flavio likes to do from time to time, I'm telling you here, world, he likes to do it. So if you're fat, don't go into Dominic. Dominic will try to run you down. Now, I think that somebody that looked like that did something to him. And so to him, it's, I don't trust any of you. Don't come in here again.
So my big boy, Gilly, he's 10 and a half feet. He's a Morlet's Croc. He gets really aggressive when I bring another male into the enclosure with me. He is not.
I'm excited. I want to go in there so bad.
He gets, it was really awesome. There was one time I had a male intern. It was his last day or something like that. And he wanted to get some really good pictures of Gilly. And so I was like, of course, go in. And he went on to another part of the enclosure. And then Gilly started to do a territorial swim and started doing Hoda. So head oblique, tail arch, showing. And then when the other guy was starting to come back towards me, Gilly swam in, went on land to block the intern from getting towards me. And I was like, holy crap. So then there's been other times where I've brought guys in and Gilly will just display. He'll start showing his teeth. My ex-boyfriend that came in, he crouched down and Gilly came up on land, opened his mouth and just started growling at him. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, Gilly, if I bring in another male, does not like it. He does not.
Cool.
I'm his female and he does not.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like, you're his woman. Listen, she's mine.
Yep.
Wow.
That's very interesting. And I can't wait till we go mess with that. And to answer that question, Michelle, they suffered a lot of damage in October due to the hurricanes and the water was really bad over there and it lifted up a lot of the walkways and stuff. So they've been closed down just to do a lot of repairs. And so, when you have to call insurance and insurance has to go inspect, they have to go out and look at each thing before they release money. So it just takes a little bit of time to get it all back up to par for people to go through. So that's to answer your question. To my knowledge, that's what's going on. And no, it's not being sold. It's not closed permanently. They're just repairing from all the stuff. They had trees that were over 100 years old in there and stuff. And there was a lot of damage, that just happened in the area. So the staff is all there taking care of all the animals and stuff. It's just not open to the public right now.
So I have a question to follow up with, especially with Gilly's behavior. in most cases, animals, there's a belief that they can sense the good nature of a person, right? Like that person is good. I bond to it because I can sense that they're going to be good. Do you think that crocodiles, like crocodilians in the sense of a species, might be able to sense the same? And that's why they interact differently with different people, because they're sensing that?
Why don't we ask him? He's a croc expert.
Oh my God, Charlie.
It's Charlie. What's up, dude?
What the fudge?
Go ahead, Marissa. Charlie came in. I'm glad you're here, Charlie. Great. We'll start talking about weird stuff in a minute. But go ahead, Marissa. I want to hear you.
I'm just curious.
So, in regards of can they sense, I do think that they can sense, because in regards of whenever, as people, when we're interacting, there are times, right? You're just interacting with someone, you're like, bad vibes,
Yeah.
or like there's something good about that person, and it's on how we are displaying ourselves. We have all these subconscious abilities, and this is going into like psychology and all that. So we have all these capabilities to be able to get a sense whether someone's aggressive, whether someone's nice. So my background in wildlife disease, you can actually look at a person's face. I can look at your face and actually tell you if you have parasites in your intestines or your stomach. There's all these subconscious ways. And so that's why sometimes you might be attracted to someone or not, because subconsciously you're able to pick up whether that person is fit or unfit.
Wow.
And so going into regards of animals,
What's up, Corey?
they have been able to, I know that there has been some research where, like more so with mammals, they can pick up in a sense the characteristics of a person, so mean or bad. And going into crocodilians, we understand that they have a similar brain structure as mammals per se. So they should be able to have that, in a sense, that same capability to be able to pick up in regards of something bad, something good, similar to mammals. Sorry, my dog has her squeaky toy right next to me.
I know, it sounded like a little otter. I was like, are you playing? I was going to say, too, to that, Marissa, that I found interesting, especially with crocodiles. A lot of people don't know this. And you bring it up and they're like, huh? But they have a cerebral cortex.
Yes.
That gives them the ability to reason. So that throws the Bible shit out the window where animals can't reason or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing, I always tell, and I tell this to people, but the whole thing with like, oh, animals can't reason, you shouldn't anthropomorphize. I'm sorry, that's a very old school, in a sense, colonial mindset, because it's easier to exploit an animal or a resource if it doesn't have feelings, because in that way, okay, let's go ahead and like experiment on this. Let's go ahead and just chop things away. And it's because, oh, they don't have feelings. So it's in our human brains, it's easier to exploit. And so that is very much an old school, whether you want to call it global north, Western mindset. I mean, you look at older cultures, everything had, in a sense, a being. You're Apache, right? You're Ine, Troy. You have Ine.
Well, we're Native American. Brittany is too, because she is my sister, folks. It's not just me.
Yeah,
we have the same parents.
So, but for me, when someone's like, you shouldn't anthropomorphize, and I said, no, like in our culture, it's sister eagle, it's brother bear. You know what I mean? I want to say sister, and that also having that type of connection.
Mother mosquito.
You're connecting. Hey, yeah, mother mosquito. You're being able to connect with nature. I think one of the issues we're seeing in conservation, in nature, in science, is that we have distanced ourselves because of our language. We have to watch our language, because we subconsciously or consciously telling ourselves and telling other people whether to respect or not respect. And that's one of the things with the CRC. There's no such thing as a problematic crocodile.
It's people.
It's problematic people. They're habituated crocodiles, or if there's a crocodile in a pool, it's not. Are you problematic when you get lost in a neighborhood? No. You are displaced. And so that's why, like, we're very conscious about language. And I've noticed that since we are conscious with our language, that's when we've seen a huge uprise in people wanting to actually coexist with crocodiles, because we've been able to just squash those false beliefs and those misguided facts about animals simply because of language, and just, again, trying to reconnect to people that we are part of nature.
I love that.
I totally agree with that. One thing I want to jump at you while you're here, Corey, right here. He has a really cool name, Malakanich, whatever. It's a pretty cool name. I did tell him, Marissa, to reach out to you. because he does work with us a lot, and he wants to learn about all the aspects of crocodiles and what they do, and he really is into crocodilian. So I told him to tell you that I told him to do it. So you know who it is when you see it on wherever one of your messengers. He'll probably have some interesting questions for you, and right now he's dealing with a lot of stuff. We've had some, I'll talk off air, some interesting stuff with diseases in caimans and alligators that we've been finding, and some explanations, and it'd be good to pick your brain. So yeah, I think I agree with you too. Crocodiles to me have always been, I think you have to man, how do you say this? I think a lot of people get into certain species for the wrong reasons. Now, you can call me opinionated or whatever, but since the invention of YouTube, it's done a lot of damage. Okay. For a lot of people and a lot of things, because if someone can put this close to them, or they get and look at me, I'm so cool, I can rub my dick on it. Woo! And then all these young people that are 10 and 13, oh my God, that person's so cool. Let's send him money. Oh my God. And everybody's like, oh, Troy, you have so many animals, man. It's unbelievable, the variety. Why don't you do a YouTube channel? Because I don't have a desire to. Can I do it? Yes. Do I have the following? Yes. Do I work with real TV? Yes. But I don't do it because you end up hurting the animals in the long run. Mm-hmm. Then you get animal rights activists after you. And then you have the laws changing, and then they want to change laws because somebody did something idiotic and now somebody got killed. Okay. And I think that
or the armchair.
I'm never going to tell you not to do it. It's just why I'm not doing it. I think you have a right in America to do whatever you want.
Yep.
So when you get into certain species, I've always been enthralled with things that don't give a fuck about me, because everybody puts humans on this high level of, we're the best, we're better than that, And so I got in trouble for it, but I started posting videos of dogs just killing kids in other countries, especially in China. Okay. So wild dogs will run up and take a kid and just disassemble it. And everybody's like, oh, how could you do that? That's a baby. And I think, well, we kill 1,000 puppies a week. We don't give a fuck about them. And in China, they just beat the shit out of them, steam them, and eat them. So they're just taking one back for the team, to me. So I always think that we always put ourselves above because we think we're so special.
That was the one that you did
we're just so, yeah, I did send you. We're so, did you read what I wrote?
Yes.
She's taking one for the team. The dog was just hungry. You ate, they probably ate 10,000 of them that week. It just wanted a little something back. So my point is, you think about all these animals. You get in the water with a big crocodile in his area. That's his home, man. That's his metropolis. That's his breeding ground. You're just a stupid human. So you're either food, he's going to have to cough up the clothes you're wearing, or you better get the fuck out of there. He's not like, oh, that's a person. Oh, right. Don't do that to him.
Can't blame a crocodile for doing crocodile things.
Right? So I always had that thing where it's okay, we just kill whatever we want, shit on it. But when you talk about a person, it's like I often thought, even when I was young, you're driving the car and you see a dead dog on the road, you're like, man, that's horrible. 100 cars go by, nobody gives a fuck. If it was a person, they're going to be out there with tape and a plastic bag giving it honor. What's the difference between a dog's life, a crocodile's life, and our life? Nothing. We all walk in our own paths in the world that we were born in, right? So our world is a human world. Their world is the jungle. Dog's world is whatever abusive home or loving home it gets stuck into because it's bred for profit. So to me, life is important. I try not to kill anything.
Listen,
even bugs, dude. I throw them outside. Even if I see a cockroach, I'm like, you got in here, you motherfucker. But you're leaving. Don't come again.
Mom can vouch for this. And I've done this for a long time, but if I see an animal dead on the road, unless I know it's really dead, you can see guts everywhere. I have stopped just to make sure the animal is dead. And there's been many times where the animal was not dead. And one of the times there was a red-tailed hawk that had been hit by a truck right in front of us. He was not dead, but I wrapped him up in a towel in the back of my car and I held him in the front seat and I held him until he passed away. He didn't die.
So why did you wrap him up and put him in the back of the car and then take him to the front seat? Would you listen? You
no. I said I took the towel from the back of my car and I wrapped him up.
Say,
he said, no, you can ask Mom. Mom was like, oh shit. What if he's just unconscious and he doesn't die and he starts freaking out or driving home? But I had him wrapped good. You've taught me a lot for over the years on how to properly wrap animals so they're tight and they're firm. So I knew what I was doing and I had him tight and everything, but it was really cool to be with him because he was looking up at me while we were driving. Thank you. You didn't just leave me on the side of the road. And we took him home and I had pictures with him. Mom took pictures of me holding him because I was emotional. And then he passed away. I was like, Mom, he passed away. We're going to bury him on the property. And we did.
I'm sure. Once you take a hit like that, sometimes in those frail birds, it's hard for them.
And he was cool. I mean, he was big, but I just felt connected to him, like even in passing. And since I've been little, Troy, and with Mom.
Well, you shouldn't. Nothing should have to die alone.
Die alone. Exactly. And so, I mean, every time Mom has called me, I think we have this animal passing. Brittany, you know me. It's hard for me to watch them go. Can you come? And I've come and sat with them. Like, I don't believe any animal should die alone. And I think people should have the balls when you go to put your dog down to sit in there with your dog. They're scared. They're with strangers. They don't know these people. You shouldn't just be like, bye. Okay, Becky's taking care of it. Who the hell is Becky? This dog doesn't know Becky. And in that moment of fear between here and the other side, I've seen the look in those eyes. I've been there. I've been there when they did that to our horse. It's scary as shit. They don't know what's happening, and you need to be there. You need to help them through it.
I felt like that when me and Charlie were in the woods together looking for Sasquatch.
Hey,
I'm like, look at my eyes, Charlie. If a 10-foot fucking ape comes out, we're getting fucked.
I don't know.
You better have some lube. You better squish it now. You better put it in your pants now, because if it comes, we're done. All right. I've seen what orangutans do to humans. But Charlie, how have you been, man? I want to run back up. Mary Jackson wants to know if you're here to announce season 2.
No, I'm not.
Because Charlie is our producer. He actually runs the Discovery Channel.
Yep.
And he's here to let us know. So let's hear it, Charlie.
We are his team. We are his people. So Charlie, you tell us, bro, what's up?
Well, you guys really put me in a tight spot here right before the holidays. I don't feel like we're prepared to make any kind of announcement officially.
I don't want to let you down, guys, before you have that Christmas dinner.
But I really appreciate the support and well wishes. Thanks for watching.
But yes, exactly. And so, but yeah, so Charlie, I was talking to you a little bit earlier, and I wanted to get on. We started on it. And I want to talk about, like, we were talking about this thing called alien hand syndrome. Have you done anything with that? Like, have you ever seen that before or talked about it, other than the movie with Seth Green or whatever?
No.
But can you imagine? I thought about that. Like, can you imagine? What if it did other things to you in the night when you were sleeping, like touched you and stuff?
I mean,
there it goes.
I'm gonna look at your link right now.
All right, so it's called alien hand syndrome, and what happens is there's a disconnect where somehow the brain gives signals to that hand or hands to attack you. I think that's. I'm very.
What was that really bad movie? It was like a really cheesy movie. Idle Hands. Yeah.
That was it. Idle Hands. Was that Seth Green?
Earlier, Idle Hands.
That was Seth Green, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. No, I haven't really given much thought to it. I don't know. Bodies are weird, man. Like,
but can you imagine, though, for a second, all joking aside, if you're all of a sudden your hand starts punching you in the face? I mean, that has to be. I mean, this woman that I sent the article that you're reading about, she was elderly. Obviously, it wasn't happening her whole life. It just
That's weird.
I mean, it's freaky and weird, dude. Like, brains are weird. People are weird. Like,
I know people are weird. I open up my messages every day.
Yeah. Well,
God. I did not come prepared to talk about this.
No, it's okay. It was just a question. I'm keeping it light. It's just like,
trying to get. It's just strange. It's just something weird.
I mean, it could go either way. Maybe that's your superpower, right? Like maybe it only kicks in when you really need it, and then all of a sudden it does cool stuff and
got no conscience.
Yeah.
I think what's weird though is like why that point in age, right? Like if they don't have it their whole life and then all of a sudden it happens at some point, what triggered that neuro? Like that
well, because signal? I think our computers, we're like a computer droid, and I think we glitch. I think people glitch. I mean, like for instance, just to make the room go, parents, they'll come in the house one day and then they just drown their children or beat the fuck out of them or take a machete and hack them up. Or like that one woman put her kids in the oven, cooked them, and then sent the picture to the father. I sent you that.
Oh, I did hear about that.
After years. And you look back at their times, everybody knew them. They're like, Marissa was a wonderful mom. We don't know why she hacked her up in the jungle. So sometimes humans just glitch, and I think people like that should be studied. I really do. I think that because you can prevent that.
Yeah.
Like if you watched on Netflix years ago, there was a series called Mindhunter. Are you guys familiar with that?
Yeah, they're actually coming out with a new season.
Okay. That was when they didn't really know what a serial killer was. They were just punishing people and putting people in prison to keep the society feeling good. And then there was a team developed to study that. And I think that that's something that should be studied. Why people just automatically just wake up and what happens in a human that you completely break your
There's some synapse not firing somewhere or double firing.
You
There's
know.
a recent trauma that's been pent up and put subconsciously back in their mind from childhood, and something triggered it. And I mean, you see people have meltdowns because they're holding trauma, and they just.
Yeah.
So there is a book called Mind.
Well, don't you dare have it when we're in the jungle, Marissa.
She's
I don't know what a capybara shit out there and turning Crocs loose on us. I'm like, she's
Start
freaked out.
slapping
Well,
around
Troy,
with the
you know what
face.
pushes my button, so just there better be no fish hitting me in the back, Troy.
Listen,
Fish.
there better not be.
Fish, yeah, fish.
Right. Lucky that fish
That's
jumped in there
hilarious.
just in time for an excuse, though.
It did. I was
Hilarious.
very fortunate.
Thank God.
I know. Is that what we
Unfortunate.
need been saying all these years, Troy? Huh? It's just a
Not
fish.
in
I feel like it was a
wood.
fish,
Or Troy could carry a fish everywhere it goes for just such an occasion in case he has to
a
get
Swedish
back or
fish,
something like
a
that.
Swedish fish.
Yeah.
I always carry a live fish in my
How'd
pocket.
that fish get there? How'd that fish get
Yeah. I just wish it would happen to someone like Kurt. He's probably watching right now. You know, can you imagine Kurt in the boat and the fish jumped out and tickled some girl's butt and they're like, excuse me? He'd be like, oh, he would just jump off and die. They'd find him floating face down. What the hell happened? Somebody yelled at him. He's a friend of ours, Charlie. You'll meet him. Funny guy.
there? Kurt's really nice.
Yeah.
There's actually a book called Mindhunter that the series is named after. It's by FBI criminal profiler and one of the lead investigators into the psychology of serial killers. And if you're into the show, the book is really cool, and it gets into those sort of like correlations and causations for behavior, where like they line up like, well, these guys all had this, right? And that's not necessarily the cause, but it is a correlation. And then they'll go ahead and they'll demonstrate sort of the, get into the brain chemistry of the why. So if you like the show, the book is pretty cool too.
That's awesome.
Does it come?
Yeah,
on-
you know me, I'm really into behavior. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And I watch it even with animals and they're like, you'll never get those two to cohabitate. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. They'll love each other.
I just think, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't have empathy for people like that. Like people that could do it to their kid all of a sudden and everybody's like, we should feel sorry for them. I just
I'm
don't. And
not-
I don't mind
I-
saying it out loud. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for you.
people like that, especially when someone doesn't want to do it. So I have to, there's a lot of things that you don't know that happens to a young person in their life, and it destroys them. And I've known people personally that they have been terribly destroyed. And sometimes they're very strong and they can grow up and be different. Sometimes they kill themselves. Right. But we have psychopaths. I read a story today. There's a little black girl. She tried to commit suicide. I think she was 9 years old. And the kids that were bullying her, these women, I want to say women that were bullying her, older girls, went to the hospital to photograph her being resuscitated in the hospital. Right, Charlie?
That's
To
all
post
this-
it on their social media. Okay. Those are psychopaths. Those are the people that are going to run the country. Yep. Because those are most of the people that are in power. Crazy, psychopathic P. Diddy's and whack jobs, dude. 100%.
Yeah,
So-
you don't wind up in positions of power on accident, and it does attract certain personality types. There's a lot of like in
I
leadership,
agree 1,000%.
in like leadership training studies and stuff. There's a lot of exploration of that.
How long do you think crocodiles would live, Marissa, if every one of them had the personality of a kitten?
Of a kitten?
Yep. They'd all be gone. Imagine a 15-foot crocodile with the personality of a kitten. They all felt that way.
Like
They
my-
died by every other living thing on the planet. So you have to have that merciless, stone cold survival instinct, and you have to learn how to curb it. But some people don't. They abuse and they go crazy, or they get hooked up with drugs.
But
I mean,
I
there's
don't-
so
I don't
much in
know.
the world history.
I don't-
Psychopaths have ruled the world.
I'm not saying on all spectrums, but when it comes to, that you don't have self-control over your own temper or self-control over your own mental health problems, and that you physically abuse your child because of it, I just think that there's
That's a
moment where
different
you need-
situation, though.
That's what I'm talking about, though. When you're talking about like cooking your kids,
As
I'm
far as,
sorry,
like,
I don't feel sorry for you.
But these people are like you, Brittany. That's what I'm trying to say. They walk in, they're like, "Oh, it's bubbly Brittany. She just baked her children today."
No,
That's what I
there's
mean.
always signs, though. There's always signs, and nobody is helping that person.
Not
Like,
always.
there's always
It
signs.
is
Here's
until
another-
it is. That's the thing.
There are signs.
It's they might not have outward signs. People.
I'll be right back. I have an animal in my yard.
Oh no.
Oh, it's something good.
That's okay, Marissa.
People
He's gonna
who
come in with a snake.
who fall into psychopathy, it's something that could happen later on. It could be an injury, it could be chemical, it could be an illness. So, it's
Right? Like psychosis, right? Like psychosis.
So something that, to your point, I'll jump on that. So, schizophrenia, as an example of a DSM-5 classified, illness, mental illness, a lot of times that won't manifest like we think about how it's portrayed in popular culture until later in people's lives.
Yep,
Like
30s, 40s,
yeah, and it can be accelerated, Troy, to your point, by certain types of substance abuse. But it's baked in there somewhere, and it doesn't manifest until later.
I agree with you. And I think that a problem that I've noticed with a lot of people, and Charlie and I had a lot of time on the road together, is there's a lot of people that they're on the spectrum. Okay. And I think that's a lot of, especially my problem, because people understand that I'm very dry, especially when it comes to something catastrophic, because I'm one of my gifts. Am I able to see two sides? And a lot of people can't because they're led by emotions. I try not to think on my emotions. Here's an example. You see these people that go out and supposedly beat up pedophiles. I'm sure you've seen them. Some of these people that they're beating up and kicking the shit out of that are going to meet a kid are mentally retarded people. Like so to the fact that they're 50 years old, but they're like 13 in their brain and they don't understand what's going on. And they start freaking out. They don't know why you're yelling at them. They'll have a package of gummy bears in their pocket. They don't understand what they're doing. And you kick the shit out of them. That's uncalled for. There's a difference between a predator and somebody who's mentally challenged. I'm sorry. And you have to learn to identify that. So making vigilante groups to go out and beat up quote unquote pedophiles or someone that's meeting a 13-year-old or whatever, that has to be handled with care, not just beat them all up. Some of these people are mentally challenged and you just can't fix it.
Well, there has to be some kind of mental disconnect in order to even have those kind of feelings.
I saw one with Down syndrome, Jeff. I saw a man with Down syndrome on a video. And you could clearly see, if you understand how to read a face, he had no idea what was going on and what he did was even wrong. And they start beating him, knocking his glasses off, kicking him in his ass, pushing him through the shelves. He had Down syndrome. His brain was not all there anyways.
That's what I mean.
He was meeting another kid because he liked that kid. And like, oh, you said you were going to hug and kiss him and all that. Well, to me, you better know what you're doing. Unless you're going out and finding a predator like Touch Me Terry and beating the fuck out of him, that's fine. But to do something to like a challenge, I don't know if you guys caught that in my stories, but I put that up. Did you love it? Touch Me Terry. I did that. I hope he watches because I know he looks at my stuff, that fucking bastard. But anyways, when you do that, you have to draw a fine line. It's the same as you work with animals. You can't be mad at an animal for being an animal, right? So you can't beat it because it retaliated because it doesn't understand. So there's a fine line there to me, a fine line. It's still wrong, but there's a fine line.
There's nothing is black and white.
100%.
There is.
Thank you, Charlie.
There is a spectrum of wrong. And that's why we have, even though they're not perfect, we have systems in place that are supposed to help society with that, right? So we have laws and we have courts and we have facilities for the criminally insane where they can be studied and analyzed, where you're saying we should study these people. That's what happens. They get locked up in a facility where they are studied in some cases.
Hey, pretty doggy. But I agree with you, Charlie, but I guess to my point, because I think people understand, like at something like that, those people are still children. You're hurting or killing someone that's doing this. It's a child it's not right. Now,
I'm not advocating for vigilance.
Some people shouldn't be killed because of it. That's just something you're never going to fix. But if they're mentally challenged, there are facilities that they need to be put in so they can live a somewhat decent life. It's not their fault. But then there are predators. There's just some sick, evil, psychopathic, sexual predators, and we can't kill enough of them.
Psychopathic being the operative word too. this country specifically, our mental health awareness and our availability of proper mental health care so bad here. You know, we
So
warehouse people. We put them in prisons for the criminally insane, and we mental health has not changed enough since the turn of the century to bring us to where we are now, as far as the medications that we have, which I feel like they overuse anyway.
Oh my God, 100%.
Electroconvulsive. There's so many different therapies that really can help people, but instead we say, okay, this is the act that they did. This is what they committed. So we're going to treat them like everybody else that committed that act and stick them in a warehouse or a prison, instead of finding ways to treat the mental health, especially, when they're young, where you can avoid lots of things like that later on by treating the problems when they're young and learning to recognize the signs. And yes, there are signs, but sometimes they're so subtle. It's a lot of people come up with depression or anxiety or things like that in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they don't know any better. They had it when they were a kid, but their parents didn't recognize it, and they didn't.
100%. 100%, Jeff. That's so true. I think you start to see that. I remember, Brittany, I know you're falling asleep over there, but I remember when
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
I remember when Jeffrey Dahmer was caught jerking off to some dead animals in his garage by his parents. Okay. If I walked in and saw one of my kids whacking off on some dead squirrels, we're going to have a problem. Okay. That's just, I don't care if it's your kid or not. We have to figure this out. There's something there. And they let it go as a fad. Oh, it's just a phase. I have never in my life thought about doing that as a phase. I'm sorry. I don't think anybody and if anybody on this panel did feel like that, I'm sorry, bro, but that's just, there's a dead squirrel. Let's beat off on it. Yeah.
Remind me of dead animals. That's where I stopped the whole situation before the pants ever come off.
Exactly. And I think, I try to put a light spin and some comedy on some terrible things. We know the world is shit.
Have to.
It's geared to make us all shit. Social media, the media, what goes on in the planet. That's like I was going to ask you too, Marissa. You live in another country. We got everybody running around here pretending aliens are attacking us and shit, and we're going to be attacked by aliens. It's just as stupid as the vaccines, and I think it's ridiculous. And now we're talking about drones, and they use drones for everything. People now in Orlando, there's drones. Yeah, they own 3,000 of them at the new Universal Park. Right? Yeah. They're test flying them. They usually do it when it's cloudy. They kind of watch what's going on. I mean, we all know this. People thought a dragon was attacking us because they have a drone dragon that flies around in the new Universal Studios park now.
I got those videos.
Yep. Looks like a fucking dragon flying over Orlando. I'm like, this is badass. It was a new high drone. So people take this crap and propagate it and overlay it and propagate it because they want to create fear. And fear gets everybody in composure. And I'm sorry. It's like I said on another podcast, Brittany. We had these people, Marissa, walking around with masks that look like they wiped their ass with, okay, in grocery stores during the mask season. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, the magic gloves are my favorite too.
Yeah. Or they would be wearing hazmat suits, right, in the store. But they would be buying the most toxic, cancer-causing, evil shit they could eat with purple legs, obese, passing gas, stinking up the place, but they have a mask on.
But did it smell like spaghetti?
No, it actually smelled like maybe whatever they're eating. And I think to myself, you care enough to put a mask on. If there was this pandemic killing everybody like that, and I was dying of that, I'm taking my mask off and going, kill me now, man. Let me go to the next journey. So the idiocracy we have in the country sometimes doesn't make sense to me.
All I want to say is when it comes to this whole alien invasion bullshit, first of all, not happening. But all we did was prove to the government we're not mentally capable of handling any information that they can provide us. Doesn't matter.
And that's why
this is why. Exactly. So all we did was show them that we're still idiots. Well,
I'll tell you what.
We can't handle it.
I actually I've seen little bit you have to because my mom will be like, my mom's in California. Oh, did you hear this? I live in another country. I'm more concerned about our news and my regional news. And
sure.
I know everyone in America thinks everything's about them, but I actually sometimes have no idea what's going on in America. So I think it was in some group chat Brittany and I were in, and someone's like, what's going on in this with the alien invasion? I was like,
what?
So please tell me, because I have no idea what's going on.
Well, we just been the short of it is that
drones.
There's a lot of propaganda obviously out in the world, as we know. And There used to be a thing called conspiracy theories, and some of them are pretty good. Some of them are ridiculous. And I think that
I'd say most are ridiculous.
Drones are flying around, and I think then they got people talk about Project Bluebeam. I think that's a fucking ridiculous.
What's that?
Where they see the sky and they're going to use holograms to scare people with an alien attack and all this kind of shit. And it's all.
But the reason why they're getting that is because on the government website decided, because this is part of my work in ufology, they've actually released all of the projects that they've had in place since the 20s. And Project Bluebeam was one of them. But what the crazy part is that people really believe that they're going to do it, but they're not going to do it and tell you they're going to do it. If they wanted to utilize their weapons in a sense, they're going to do it. No one's going to know. And they're going to create the mass hysteria and be like, listen, guys, we have it under control. They can pretend anything they want. They're not going to use Project Bluebeam. It has not been mastered to the point that people think it has right now. It's not going to happen. It's out there. You can read about it. I have people that I talk to about it. It's not like they're not going to do it. It's just hype, mass hysteria.
Here's my tism. It's very hard for me to walk amongst people like that. Because
not gonna happen.
I would do it. I'd be like, Jeff, I created this drone. Let's go scare the fuck out of the city. Oh yeah, dude.
These drones
I'd smoke a joint and fly that drone over every fucking idiot I could. Go ahead, Charlie.
Actually, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. Here's what it is. It's not the end of the world, and we're never going to know what it is.
100%.
It's probably defense contractors testing out
100%
testing out new technologies, counter drone technologies, before a new administration comes in, so that they can have on paperwork, we tested this equipment, it worked. Do you want to buy it?
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I don't think that nobody knows what it is. I'll tell you that much.
I agree with that.
I think that the agencies that are investigating probably know what it is, probably know where it came from. They just don't think that we can handle it as a people because we couldn't handle a couple lights in the sky. It's people. I reluctantly daily look at my Nextdoor app.
I guess, Craig. I think Hawking was a turd.
About the worst thing that
sorry.
I do, because people are insane and it infuriates me, but it gives me really good troll fuel. But somebody had posted something the other day, and when it comes up in my mail like this, I have to open it and read it. It said, it said, WTF if this is real. And it was an article saying that the drones are now shooting at people.
Oh my God. See?
He linked the article, and it was like some OAN Newsmax something or other, and I'm like, that's your problem right there, is that you listen to news, any news. You have to have a nice broad spectrum of what's going on, and people just they hear one thing, they see one thing, and they run with it now. That's what life is like. We get our news from memes and from sound bites instead of actually digging into it and figuring out what's
that's the biggest problem.
The problem is there really is no way to dig into it, okay? Because you can go online and Google whatever you want, and most of the time that's a controlled narrative too. So you really just have to live your life. There's no way to know anything.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, is it's a need to know basis. There are high level parts of the government, and even people within the government are not going to be aware unless you're at the need to know basis. And if you ask me, I think they got a tip off. They sent the drones out at night to do the work so that you couldn't get pictures of them in good quality. Now, it's not their job to tell the public what they're doing. We don't need to know if they're protecting us. If they're not, it's not our. It's not. We don't need. They don't owe us anything. So the thing is that now because how social media works, and the people that want to do clickbait, and the people that want to keep the frenzy going. And I saw this. Somebody says to me, half of the footage that's circulating right now on
that's
the
so true, Mom. So true.
Is fake. It's old footage being wrapped around as current, being time stamped and redated, re-downloaded. There are CGI videos that have been already confirmed, like one that's actually like of a starfighter. That's like half in the dark in the distance in like a dark orangey sky. The guy was like, I created that as a joke like years ago. So it's like people
so cool.
People are like circulating these videos and being like, I saw this last night. I saw this. And then they're taking audio from like the real drone footage that happened for the 2-night event in New Jersey and New York. And now they're basically spinning it and putting it on these news, being like, this happened last night. And then you get the amateur drone guys that are out there throwing their drones up just to say, look how stupid people are. They saw my drone. They made a reel of it saying that this is the government drone,
Craig.
but that's mine. It's a hobbyist drone. So you're just creating mass chaos on a social media. So if you want the information, don't go to social media. Go to the people that are talking to the right people that are actually doing the work. you're not going to get it from social media. Stop looking at TikTok for your answers. Like, stop.
I saw that
Like,
they made a drone
please.
out of a dead cat. I thought that was cool.
Oh my God.
I've seen that.
I was like, dang, bro, that's fucking awesome. But
God.
you know, the problem is everybody has these imaginary concept of what they think life is, right? So basically it's like a bunch of thumbs running around with the light bulbs over their head. We really don't know what the fuck is going on half the time, right? I just try to make the here and now, my family, my friends important in my life and just try to get them through. I don't have time to think about the other stuff. And if they decide to blow us up or do something, I can. But there's been so much shit in the length that I've been alive on this planet. You too, Jeff. And I grew up in a whole different era. Jeff and I grew up in a different era. Like the stuff we had to learn from people doing it, right? Like
You're not that much older.
Well, you have to know a guy.
yeah, it's way different because in the crocodile world, when I was a young
Nexus.
person in the 20s, there was no females in it whatsoever. One, they were either too scared to do it or people ran them out, right? So there were things that were being done in the crocodile world that shouldn't have been done because guys were barbaric and there was just other ways of doing things. And I was there when there's a lot of really good academics that are still alive today. Yes, they're in their 70s and 80s, but they're still alive today. And they really saw things. Flavio was one of them. He was a visionary with them a long time ago. I'll say it every time, and I don't care what people say. I've known him forever. And he would say, there's a better way of doing that. You don't have to beat that animal. You can ask it to work. You can ask it.
Yeah.
Right? But the people that were above us at the time, and he'll tell you if you ask him, were barbaric. But there were very few diamonds in the rough. Now, everybody learns from a YouTuber. Everybody wants to go film themselves catching a crocodile or an alligator so they can look cool or take their shirts off.
Social
Right?
Darwinism, man.
Yeah. And that's my point. So same thing with drones or going out or calling me and Charlie and Brittany paid actors. I wish to God I was a paid actor. Okay.
Me too.
Because I wouldn't be
That'd be
doing
great.
half the dumb shit I have to do to make a living. Okay. And I do live it. I don't care what anybody says. I live it. Okay. I have them. I run a whole fucking facility. Everything here. I get to go out at night and box a kangaroo, kiss a capybara, pet a croc, and go to bed. I can do that.
It's true.
So you can't tell me shit about it. And I don't like to toot like that sometimes, but I see it so much and like, oh, these guys are fucking blah, blah, blah. Sit home, play your little games, drive your fucking Teslas, and fuck off. That's what I say. Fucking goddamn it. So at the end of the day, Discovery will be mad at me for that, but I don't care. We're the real deal. They stick us out there. We do wildlife. Me and Justin look for wildlife. Every scratch on the tree is not a Sasquatch or an alien. Every time a satellite's reflecting the sun, it's not a spaceship. Okay? My opinion is, here's my opinion. Aliens exist, but they're not here. They haven't been here for a long-ass time. We're left behind, and that's it. They created all that shit and the stuff, and like, fuck this, and they moved on. They moved on because there's been way too many bullshit things going on for somebody. When I just saw a whole article today burning 100,000 to 300,000 tires into the atmosphere and then blame it on cow farts. Did you see all that? 20 acres of tires being burnt, blowing up into the sky, right? Or the fact that we just destroy Madagascar to kill every living thing on it, burn it all down so we can grow palm oil, so we can do palm oil.
I
All those
did
cute
read
little
some
bush
about
babies,
that.
man.
And then they go, the aliens are coming here and they're going to help us. They would have stopped that shit a long time ago. We're just going to burn the
Aliens
whole
are
planet
tired.
out like we did every other planet. Now we're trying to go to another one.
Well,
Wait.
we're their New Jersey Shore show.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
100%.
Thank you, Marissa. And you know what? Just for
100%.
anybody
We're
new
the
or
zoo.
tuning in,
The zoo theory.
Marissa's a doctor, has a PhD. She's not a nut job like me. And so when she says something, it's legit.
We listen.
Mm.
But there's just so much stuff. And I like all the theories, and everybody's a Star Trekkie or Star Wars. Good for you. Have a good time. I work in a very primitive world, and I've seen the darkness of a lot of things. I spent a lot of time on the streets. I know what life's about, and I've seen a lot of things. I understand how humans and animals work, and everything is a fucking game and how many people you can control. And psychopaths run the planet. I'm sorry. I mean, that's it. And the only ones we ever talk about, nobody ever talks about people that do things good. A household name is Adolf Hitler. Was he a psychopath? Eventually. What he committed was horrible, but he did it. But there wasn't anybody that did just as much as he did, but in a good way, right? Who do you ever hear about that? You don't. So it's true. And there's a lot to it like that. And I think that that's where it's at because, like Jeff said, you don't get in those positions.
Einstein.
What did he do?
Einstein, Tesla.
They gave theories. And what were they? They were laughed at, pushed aside, and treated like shit.
And you know what?
know how Tesla was
Einstein
treated?
never even finished high school. He was a middle school.
Although
dropout.
Da Vinci was extremely
genius.
interesting, and I really liked reading about that. I
Invented
thought he was a
something.
wonderful, and it was illegal to do what he was doing, Marissa, cutting into bodies and learning to buy. It was illegal back then, like punishable by death.
Mhm.
And he would sneak in and do it so he could learn and do. And he had already had the helicopter created. Did you see that?
Mhm.
He created a helicopter, had blueprints for it and everything.
Yeah.
He wasn't an alien or a space monster or an Anunnaki or a moon Indian or any of that kind of shit. He was just a highly intelligent human being.
Do you know
Yep.
where you can also see good people today, though?
The Motley Croc Show.
No,
On
he's gonna.
Lost Monster Files. on
There's the
Discovery
plug. I knew it was
Plus.
coming. I knew it. I could just.
Great
I
segment.
saw the wheels in Charlie's head. I knew it.
So let's have a
I
Jerry
knew it.
Springer moment. Here's a Jerry Springer moment.
Oh my God, Charlie! I know you too well.
Definitely not paid actors.
We're
Freaking saw that
definitely
coming.
not. Here's a Jerry Springer moment. At the end of it all, we're all human beings with their own ideologies and things. We just have to respect each other for how we look at things. Just don't hurt anyone. If you want to have theories or you want to have beliefs, that's awesome, and you should do it. And you shouldn't put anyone else down for it. And just try to get through the best you can. I mean, I really think that's about all you can do. And the older I get, the more I see that. There's just really no way to win anything. If somebody firmly thinks of something, you just find people that you identify with and just stick with them, man. And just run through it. Like we met Charlie, me, Justin, and Brittany were thrown into a room for a chem meeting. And Charlie turned out, he was like, hey, guys, I don't even know why the fuck I'm here. I felt like we were in some movie, dude. And they just threw this guy in with us. And he's like, I know I'm the outcast here, but what the hell's going on?
Ooh,
And
Charlie.
it turned out that we just became a really good team, and I love it. And I think that's what happened. That's how I met Marissa at a Croc dinner. You know, Jeff and I met at a tattoo shop. I mean, you just find your own people, man. You find your own people, and you find your common interests. You just stick with it. I really believe that.
Yep.
And hope that your hands don't kill you in the end.
Oh my God. Seriously.
I mean, they might.
But it's true. I think we should watch The Nun tonight because Marissa's going to.
So I was starting to watch it, and then when you sent me the link, it was Conjuring 2. And it's when I know all of you have probably seen it, but it's when
Hell yeah.
he sees the vision of the nun in the art room, and then the nun, the hands go around the painting. She goes, ah! And then I get the message from Troy, and I was like, ah!
I'm gonna go watch it. Yeah.
I like The Nun.
Conjuring movies are great.
It out of me. It scares me. It's like when I see
Yeah,
people
it's good.
dressed up, I'm like, oh no. That character gets me.
Well, when
Yeah,
I
The
was
Nun
little,
is
nuns were
good.
just people that went
Good.
around beating kids. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's a good horror story.
When I was a
She's a
kid, the Warrens
demon.
used to come to our school and speak every year, all the time. In
Freaking love the Warrens.
in grade school and into college, they came to my college and spoke because they lived, a couple towns over from us. And
Oh yeah, the
like
Conjuring house is up there, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
Our
I
friend
will
Ann,
say
she sent me
this.
some pictures of that house. It was cool.
I will say this about the Warrens. Like everybody, nowadays they don't really know the Warrens. But the cool thing about them was they were asked in mid 60s about werewolves. And the best response was from Ed, where he said, I don't believe that a human can become a wolf, but I do believe in lycanthropy, where people believe they are this wolf and they will hurt people by doing so. It's a possession of the mind. And he was straightforward with it and straight on because it was a sickness of the mind where people believed they were these werewolves, these dogs, and they would mutilate and kill people. But a werewolf, the werewolfism is real because people believe that they are this creature, but they don't form into this creature. So lycanthropy has been around
I
for
know. I see them all the
years.
time. I see them all the time at conventions. I
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
But it was so fascinating to me because it was an intellectual response about something that is actually something that happens in the brain. And people sit there and go, oh, they believe in werewolves. No, if you actually paid attention to what they said, you would understand it a little bit differently. They were breaking it down to you that these people really believe, just like we have people today believe they're certain animals. These people really believed that they were werewolves, and it was a mental health crisis.
Well,
and he was trying to help it.
Don't you think that
So it was important.
that's interesting? You just made me think of something, Charlie, and you got a interesting brain, as so all of us do, but yours is a little intricate. But think about this: I think social media and the whole world right now, Marissa, teaches people to do that. Like, have you ever seen how many kids think they're like a Pikachu or a Fuzzy or a Furion or a Wildcat or a Tigress? Right. We're not teaching kids anymore.
Tigers.
It's okay to have some fantasy and dress up and have fun. We're not teaching kids anymore to be self-sufficient, problem solve, live on their own, understand death, understand life. We don't teach it. We're like, oh, you want to be the tooth fairy when you grow up? That's great. Here, let me buy you a dress. Go to school like that. Here's your wand. Don't drop it.
Yeah,
Like-
we don't see that in Belize.
Thank you. Oh, well, that's because they kill them there. But go ahead. What was that, Charlie?
Gilly's
I'm
good and full.
I'm gonna push back on you a little bit, Troy, on that one.
Go ahead.
I think that you're describing societal influence versus influence in the home, and I think the responsibility lies with the parents to raise their children to function.
But we agree. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So
But we're not doing that, Charlie. We're not. Parents are not doing that anymore.
So that's where I'm going to push back on you. When you say we're not doing that, you're talking about. I just want to be clear: the entirety of American society. You think that you think?
No, I don't think the entirety. I think that a larger group now is making too many safe spaces. That's what I think.
I think that, and this is just opinion.
Need to get your ass kicked once in a while in school. It's okay.
I think that the people that you're referring to might be loud on social media.
Okay. This is why I like.
But they're not necessarily the norm. I have two small kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. And
you probably limit their time on the internet. You don't allow them to access things that aren't. I mean, I know you because you're a fucking internet guy.
Sure, but I don't. I also think it's important to let them use the tools of their generation so they don't wind up warped and out of touch with their peers.
I totally agree.
So-
That's not what I was saying.
So I do give them access to technology and stuff. But what I was going to say is I don't see them falling into that because I know you always like to go back to the litter box, the human litter box bit.
I know, but because you live in North Carolina, I think there's a lot more rednecks. In Florida, it's a little crazy here sometimes, bro.
We don't. The point that I'm going to make is I don't see that in my kids, but I know that because they're in my household. But I also don't see that in their friends. And they go to public school.
And you probably don't see that either, do you, Marissa and Belize?
They're kids. I was gonna say I feel like maybe how we were raised, that's how kids are being raised here in Belize.
I agree with that. And I think Charlie,
they're not on the iPad, they're not on the screen time, they're climbing trees. I'm like, Maya, go on the beach, bye. I don't see her for 2 hours. Like it's, I mean, whatever, 60 to 80s, like that time.
correct.
Period. But I have never heard of some of the stuff I hear from like friends or family in the States, how you're saying like, oh, like they're putting litter boxes in some classrooms now because kids believe that they're
I don't think they're putting them in classrooms, but you know,
I heard something like, and
there's
and
a
again,
lot
I'm
of
like,
out there.
it could be an exaggeration, but
They tried.
some of the stuff
got
that I
pushed down.
hear of issues in the States, that is not happening in Belize. Like,
Well, that's it. I'm moving to Belize. That's it.
It's,
So-
it's also where, or something I noticed because, so there was a year where Maya was in the States and she asked me to come do outreach.
Right.
Like, sure, I'll do outreach at your school for that year. And holy crap, the difference. I was like, I'm sorry, are the teachers in charge or the students? But it was like, no one wanted to tell the students no, or be quiet, or be respectful, or, I mean, it was no one, because, that child might cry and then tell their parent, and you know what I mean? It's just like,
sure.
it was like insane. It was insane to me. And it was just like, how are you raising children, as Troy, as you were saying, but just to be respectful, just to have some responsibility, some individuality, being told no, because if not, you're now raising a society that is completely entitled.
And independent.
It was just,
I raised my nephew, and all I wanted for him, and I told him, all I'm trying to get you to understand is that I could die tomorrow, and I want you to have the tools to survive. You need to learn to problem solve and survive. You can't run around dressed like this all the time and act like a little loop-de-loop and then run for help when you fuck up. You can't do it. You've got to learn to take care of yourself, right? I don't care if you're 10 and I die. You have to learn, man. I don't care what your fantasies are and your games. And you're right, Charlie. You made a valid point. They're just loud. They're just loud. And the people that push that are loud. And you find out it's like 15, 20%. It's not even that many of the culture. So you're absolutely right, Charlie, when you say that. And
But they're
I
also the ones that
collect.
are changing things for
Exactly.
the school system and everything
Exactly.
else, and it's not helping society. And
Right. I'm a collector, just like Charlie. I have all kinds of stuff from childhood. I've got albums and Skeletor and figures of Iron Maiden, and you can look into any of my stuff. The difference is, I'm not going to get up and dress like Skeletor and go to Publix to prove that that's my identity, and that's a problem with a lot of people.
Just like Skeletor,
It's different. I mean, I would do it, but that's
You
the
would.
difference. And I really think
would.
that that's the difference in it. Like, you got to know the difference. And Charlie's point when he said, let them learn the tools of their generation. I agree with that. Learning the tools, but some of the stuff that's available, I don't know how, if I was a kid right now, what my brain would be if I had access to the stuff that you can get a hold of now as a kid. We had to like bury Playboy magazines under a towel and hide it somewhere in the house so you could go look at porn.
Man.
Now you just turn it on and you got people having
Mattress.
sex with animals,
Exactly.
gang rape videos, snuff videos, murder videos, cartoons fucking each other, dog fairy fucking functionary people dressed up as animals, butt fucking people. That to me, how do you protect your children anymore?
So
terrible.
you want to hear something interesting?
Unless you're a firewall builder like Charlie.
Well, besides that, I'm not arguing with you that stuff exists, because it does.
No.
But kids consume media completely differently than we do. Kids consume technology completely different than we do. So
I would imagine.
they are used to a walled garden. They don't just search the internet. They go through portals. They'll go through an app that serves them a curated experience. They get what's in that curated experience. So it's interesting. And again, this is why it all comes back to the responsibility is on the people in the home, in my opinion. Right?
But that's not an opinion. I think that's true. The responsibility is on you. You're raising two little ones, and they got to learn. It's you.
So they can use the technology, and it's about not controlling access, but guiding access. They don't know how to find that horrible shit.
But there's always that one asshole kid that does.
Yeah, sure.
And then your friends, and you're like, "Where'd you see that, man?" He's like, "Well, Billy showed me." You're like, I'm calling Billy's parents.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot more access out there than there ever was. Like when we were kids, if you found like a ripped up old porno mag, you're like, I got to keep this because I don't know when I get my hands on another one.
That's so true.
It wasn't at our fingertips anymore, or yet rather. And
that's a tough spot, especially when you're a young human and nobody ever wants to talk about it, especially in the country. Like in the United States, it's always like, oh, well, sex and nudity. Well, when kids get to be about 10, 11 years old, they get them little raging hormones. They're popping boners. They're finding their teacher attractive. And then we're taught that this is bad. That's bad. You shouldn't do that. If you feel like that, you're going to hell and this is wrong. And they don't even beautify it anymore. They destroy it. So then they go talk to their friends. Now you're looking at something online. There's like an 8-foot dildo being crammed up some chick's ass. They're like, what is that? Is that what mom and dad do when they're screaming in there? I mean, and they don't understand it. And I'm putting humor on it, but you know what? There's a lot of truth to that. And I think that's right. And Charlie, you nailed it on the head. You got to control your home. You teach them what to do and navigate them and really show them what's up.
Things that are already seen. That's the big thing. You can't just blow stuff off and be like, well, you're not supposed to look at that.
Right.
They're not going to stop thinking about it. Or trying to look at it more. I've always had a really open and honest relationship as far as dialogue with my kids. They ask me about something, I tell them the truth.
Shell.
I think that it's something that's gonna, fuck them up mentally. We go over the situation in a different way. Because you can't have a kid that sees something on the internet and says, oh, well, that's a thing, and then ask the parents, and the parents blow it off. Me as a kid, having my inquisitive mind, I'd go right back looking for it again. Remember when?
Me too.
And it was such a big controversial thing, but you can get that with internet access so easy now. You could watch real videos of people being shot, killed, mauled by animals, whatever you want.
Yeah. And that's a tough thing. And
be ready to you have to feel ready to explain that stuff at the drop of a hat because things come up and you can't just be like,
And
I'm done. I don't have any kids to raise anymore. So
the biggest
dogs.
The biggest
you guys
problem.
Are doing it, man.
The biggest problem with that is that it should not exist anywhere on the internet. If you want my honest opinion, I don't think any of this weird shit should ever exist on the internet. The problem is why it does. It's money. It generates money. So it's never going to be shut down. It's never going to be stopped because those sickos get to make money off of it. And it funds a lot more than we know. And so it's never going to get shut down. So it is. And to circle back with Charlie, it does come from the home. It comes from us to monitor, educate, inform our kids and how we protect them. Honestly, we've lost value a lot in the United States about moral value and how to raise our kids correctly. And that's a problem.
Well, remember how the internet was controlled? I want to say North Korea. Now, showed you the article, right? And then they got access to it.
Yeah.
Did you see that, Charlie?
I saw
and so they spent all their time looking at thousands of hours of pornography, and they started to digress. Their military started to digress because now they got a taste of Western civilization and the freedoms that it has. Now they're turning on their own. Now that whatever that guy is, that fat dude that looks like a big blowed up toad, Kim Jin-un or whatever his name is, Kim Jin-un, whatever. He has losing control now. Once they realize there's 10,000 of us, there's one fat guy. Let's just blow up the whole fucking building. We don't have to deal with him anymore. I remember what they did to Omar Gaddafi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
When the people turned on him, they pulled him the fuck out of that thing. They beat him, shot him, stabbed him in the face, and then took pictures with him, pulled his hair out, cut off his ears because he destroyed them and he kept them under just like Castro did for a long time. And so you start getting your freedoms. And that's my point. Like, so that goes back to what Jeff was saying and Charlie. When you control that so much and you don't navigate it, you'll lose control eventually, and then it's a bad situation. I absolutely totally agree.
Dangerous thing.
That's why we have Charlie and Jeff here to give us logical answers too.
Did we fix society? Did we just do that? Did that just happen?
We just fixed it. Society? It won't fix. Okay, it's still going to burn down. My theory is we're all on a burning train, and you don't get off of it until it explodes, and that's your death day. That's it. You don't get off this train till you die, motherfucker. And that's it.
At least we fixed
life is a burning train, and you're constantly throwing water on it, trying to keep cool. I'm telling you, that's all it is. Yeah. Anyways, folks, we have gone an hour and a half into things. Charlie, I'm glad you popped in. I know you're out tonight, but thanks for coming on, man. It's always a pleasure. Jeff, as always, Brittany's here. Marissa, thank you for coming in tonight. It was great to see everybody. Everybody that's been
go finish my Nun movie now.
Yeah, and you can text us how scared you are. Brittany will be up. You can text her. And thank you for everybody coming out and seeing us. And once again, we love everybody here at the Motley Croc Show. We love all the support. Craig, Michelle, Judy, everybody that's come in, all the people that come see us all the time. We appreciate you here all the time. And like I said, the Thursday after Christmas, as of right now, we're going to be having a guest come on the show. Ricky Rocket, the drummer from Poison. He's going to come on and talk with us about legend tripping, his show, and talking about Bigfoots and monsters and what he's found in the field. And again, that's somebody that has a very successful life. That's not just some podunk ding-dong looking for attention. That's really put a lot into his stuff, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him about it because he's really into it, and I think it's a great thing. So that's going to come after Christmas. That'll be the Thursday after the Christmas. Hopefully he doesn't have anything planned with his wife. He said, if I plan something I forgot, I'll let you know, but as for then, let's do it. And so we look forward to having him out here, and that's going to be really, really cool. We've become pretty good friends over the couple of years, and he's a great guy. We have a lot of conversations. I really like him. He's a great dude, and his interest in paranormal and unsolved murders and that stuff is great. And we also want to go down. Did you want to talk to? You have something coming up in February, Marissa.
I do have something coming up in February.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Maybe we can get Brittany. She's a celebrity.
I'm not really expecting anyone to be there though. But the CRC, we're hosting our first gala fundraiser in Placencia. So I mean, if anyone does want to come down to Belize, please come down. I'll take you around the Croc facility. We can go out on some research.
You can pet Gilly.
You can go on a kayak, look for jaguar.
Bring your fish. Bring your fish.
Awesome.
Bring that fish. But yeah,
I would love to. I really want to go to Belize with Lost Monster Files. So we're kind of hoping that we get to do that because I think there's a lot of stuff down there we need to look into. And I would have fun in Belize doing the show with Charlie in Belize. We're going to look good. Charlie and I are not going to get dirty.
Yeah. So anyways, we're hosting this big gala so that we can start raising more funds for CRC. But one of the things I'm trying to do is to establish the first environmental science museum / center in Belize.
Guys, CRC stands for the Crocodile Research Coalition, and that's led up by Marissa Tejas, and she's really good at what she does with crocs. And if we can get down there, I'd love to do it. If you send us the dates, I'll see what we can do back in there. And if we're not filming,
Valentine's Day.
okay, February 14th.
Cupid's Cocktail Gala.
That sounds like fun. So if we're not filming,
I love that.
we'll try to come over there and do that. If we're not somewhere across the other planet, I'll try to make it 100%.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a good time, huh, Charlie?
Good cause.
Yeah, man. I'm there.
But at least would be fun. It's a good time. We can eat termites in there. We can go in the swamps. It's a great place.
Termites taste like carrots. It's all good.
To me, when Flavio has, it
could-
tasted like peanuts to me. It was weird.
If you just tell
Good
John
carrots.
Belize and Possible Diving, his bags are already packed. Like, he probably heard me say it through the 2
That's
walls.
great, Michelle. That's awesome. Yeah, look up the
Thank
Crocodile
you.
Research Coalition or follow her. The CRC. Dr. Marissa Tejas is also her handle on Instagram, and she does post a lot. I see a lot of stories come up. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. So, guys, if you can go out there and do that, it's always a pleasure to have you, Marissa. Seriously, always.
Thank you. I just also sent you a fun Instagram reel, Troy, because we were
Please.
talking about sex and this and that, and so I sent you.
Oh, I
something.
want to tell you something that I want to bring this up that Marissa and I talked about. There's somebody out there that created conservation condoms, and I want to tell you,
yes.
I think that's great. Conservation on condoms. What better way to spread that around, right?
Yep.
What was that stuff?
Put anything around? Yeah.
Wrap
Come
that
on,
whacker
baby.
before you attack
Hold
her.
on. Let me get one real quick. Hold on.
Please do it because I want to see. We have to see it before we end the show.
This was like the best video I received from Marissa. She's like, I have to show these to you. This is amazing.
But who's never done that? What a great idea! I want Lost Monster File Jimmy hats, dude.
They are really creative. Like this, you're learning something while protecting yourself.
Okay,
Yeah,
look at
pretty
this.
awesome.
Look
Okay.
at this. Come on.
So what is it? Wait. Oop, there we go.
It was awesome.
Before it gets any hotter, remember the sea otter. And then so extinction is forever. Wear a condom. Open it up.
Because that doesn't make sense because if you wear a condom, you won't make babies. But go ahead.
But anyway, so you get the condom and then it tells you all about the animal. So there was I got the sea otter.
Do you have Charlie size, the magnums? Or-
Then we have, for the sake of the horned lizard, slow down, love lizard.
Oh my God, I love it.
Like it.
Okay, and then when you're feeling tender, think about the hellbender.
Freaking
Oh my God, the
hellbender.
Hellbender. Can you? Where can we get those? I want to get one for Charlie
So,
because we talked about the Hellbender when we were in Arkansas. It's just something we have to. All of us have to have one.
so you can get these condoms at www.endangeredspeciescondoms.com. They do not have a Croc one yet. I spoke with the lady that gave me these because I was like, they need to have a Croc one.
They need a croc.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Remember?
That's
Yeah, wrap your cock while you're thinking about that croc. That's what we
rhyme
need.
is two on the money. That's a gimme.
That's right. And Charlie is awesome for giving us gifts. Every time I look down at the pentagram on my croc, bro, I think of
Yeah.
you.
Nice.
Charlie gave me this cool ass pentagram thing that snapped into my Crocs, and I had them on today. And I'm like, fucking Charlie. And I got a neon green and a white Bigfoot. They stand together. They're not racist or anything. They love each other. It's one of the best things.
Oh,
But anyways,
man.
guys, thanks for coming out and seeing us again. We're going to end the stream. You guys sit tight before you log off because I want to do it right. But everybody, I thank you guys for coming out to the Motley Croc Show. We love you. We'll see you next Thursday. Ricky Rocket, Animal Condoms. It's always a great time here
Have a
at the
great
Motley Croc
Christmas.
Show. Yep.
a
Merry
great
Christmas, everybody, and good night.
Thanks, y'all.